my student did for homework. And it's a nice translation. It's a nice long translation, certainly. So we've got 2 more pages to look at today. And we will see that articles are very often the problem. It's not only for this student that articles are the problem. I think articles are a problem for a lot of people. Just glancing at the mistakes in front of you, you should be able to see that most of them are article mistakes. So let's see if we can learn something from some of these mistakes. So if we analyze, well, sorry, even before then, back to the Cold War times, or back to Cold War times, I didn't actually put this "the" in the first time. And it's partly because in headlines and titles and subtitles, and this is a subtitle, quite often articles are dropped. And I think that's why I didn't really feel like this one was necessary the first time I checked it. Now, after we checked it, my student asked, do I need a "the" before Cold War? And that's perhaps not the best way to understand articles, but still it's a reasonable question. And yes, you do, just like you do before any war. Yeah, the Vietnam War, the Cold War, the First World War, the Second World War, you always do. But this is not the Cold War, it's the times of the Cold War. So times is more important here. But you could put it in to make it clear that you mean those times or that era, that epoch, but I don't think it's actually necessary. I think you can say back to Cold War times. Now, let's look at the first sentence now. If we analyze the data from open sources, not the open sources, we're speaking generally, open sources in general, not a specific open source, yeah, not a specific source of the information, but open sources concerning the plot of the exercise, not plot here. Point is much better if you mean the aim. Why did they do the exercise? The purpose, the reason for the exercise. Well, the point of the exercise and the practical actions and claims of politicians. Now, I want you to focus on this, because this is the noun of noun, the practical actions and claims of politicians. And I want you to see that most of the time when you've got noun of noun, you will need a "the" before the noun. Yeah, I think that that's really useful information, because very often if you just glance down, yeah, the eastern part of the Mediterranean Sea, that's the noun of noun. And then if we glance down further, the tactical aviation of Poland, that's the noun of noun. The close support of the tactical aviation of the USA, the noun of noun. The participation of the French aircraft carrier group, the noun of noun. Yeah. Any more? No. That's okay. So you can already see that there's a pattern here, that very often if you have noun of noun, you need a "the." And you need a "the" because you are being really specific about which noun. Yeah, the king, which king? The King of France. Yeah, and that's why. Yeah, the eastern part, which eastern part? The eastern part of the Mediterranean. So it's really defined. And I think that this is a nice rule to remember, the noun of noun. The only time when it will be a noun of noun is with quantifiers, a lack of, a number of, an increase in, a decrease in. They will be a. Okay, and they're all kind of quantifying expressions where you're not sure how much, but here we know exactly which one. Okay, so you've got the next one is the conclusion that. Now this is another important thing. The noun that is going to have a "the" before it. The "that" here is a defining relative clause. In other words, this noun is being defined, so this noun, this conclusion, is really definite. Which conclusion? The conclusion that the aim of these maneuvers is to. Yeah. So please be aware of the noun of noun. I think it will help avoid article mistakes. So that the aim of these maneuvers is to rehearse a successful attack on the Russian fleet in the Black Sea. Now, I changed this from drill a defeat operation. I do recognize drill as in rehearse, and of course we use it in TEFL quite often when you try to get the kids to drill, in other words, repeatedly say a certain phrase. But I think rehearse is more appropriate here, to rehearse a successful attack on the Russian fleet. And I think rehearse is particularly appropriate because we do mention Mediterranean Sea theatres and theatre. Yeah, rehearse. The two words go very well together, and we do often talk about the war theatre. I suppose that there is a lot in common between theatre and war, and that's perhaps why there is a little bit of crossover here in the vocabulary. Okay, let's go further down and speed up a little bit. According to open sources, again, yeah, we don't care which open sources, just open sources in general. And then we've got the noun of noun, the tactical. Tactical is the adjective, Tactical Aviation of Poland. And then we come further down. Of course, it is merely a scenario which exists on military maps. Do use this word merely quite often for just. I think it sounds even clearer when you mean, that this only exists on military maps, like only. Okay, then we've got the close support of the tactical, the noun of noun, yeah. And I changed imaginable situation to war game scenarios. According to war game scenarios, I'm sure that's what the original meant. They meant according to the scenarios played out by the military. Yeah, the military will play out. They will rehearse lots of different scenarios. They will play out lots of different scenarios to see which one perhaps is most effective or least effective. So I would say war game scenarios. We can also assume the participation of the French aircraft carrier group. Okay, I think that's clear. And I didn't like down here, headed by the Charles de Gaulle aircraft carrier, the 1 or 2 American aircraft carrier groups. Now, this wasn't really wrong, just didn't sound quite as right to me. I thought, firstly, that the student was trying to keep the parallel structure, yeah, the participation of the French aircraft carrier group, the Charles de Gaulle aircraft carrier, the 1 or 2 American aircraft carriers, and the 1 American aircraft carrier group. And okay, but 1 and 2 are determiners, yet numbers are determiners. So I didn't think it was really necessary to put a the in to repeat the parallel structure, because 1 and 2 are determiners, just like the. Secondly, yes, you can say the 2 pens that I am holding. So you can say the and then number. You can, but it's got to be really specific. And I didn't think this was. I thought he meant 1 or 2 American aircraft carrier groups from the US 6th Fleet. Well, we don't know which ones, do we? We don't know which exact aircraft carrier groups. So get rid of the. It does sound better. The same with the next one, 1 American aircraft carrier group from the Red Sea. Well, we don't know which one. Let's just say one of them. We're not sure which. Okay, so let's go a little bit further. So I've changed this to there is no doubt, and of course that can't be a capital. There is no doubt that the same groups, you always say the same. I can't think of a time when this adjective same demands the article the. Now there aren't many adjectives that do this, but there are some. I don't think you can say a right answer, the right answer, because there's only one, yeah? So right seems to demand the article the. Same with same and same with main, yeah? The main exit, yeah? You would never say a main exit, or I can't think of a situation when you could. So some adjectives seem to require the definite article, and same is one of them. So I thought have been is better here. There is no doubt that the same groups have been deployed in the Black Sea. And it's just because we want to make it clear that they're still there in the Black Sea. So have been is better if they are still there, and you want to make that clear. So let's keep going. I've put in an and here, just I don't know if it's necessary, actually. In addition, Russia has sent some long-range aircraft, the Tu-23M3 and interceptor jets, the MiG-31 equipped with the Kinjal missile. Okay, if it's, I can see why I've done it, and the MiG-31 equipped with the Kinjal missile, to the Syrian airbase, Himamim, undoubtedly. Yeah, there is no undoubtedly. Undoubtedly is the only word. Undoubtedly does not exist. Doubtfully exists and doubtful exists, but undoubtful doesn't exist and undoubtedly doesn't exist. Okay, and then aircraft based there sounded better to me. Repel an attack from sea. We wouldn't use an article when we're talking about an attack from sea, just like we don't use an article when we say he is at sea. It's just an expression meaning not on land, but at sea. Okay, so the eastern part of the Mediterranean Sea was the area of the officially announced exercise. Then I did suggest aforementioned. It's more formal than above said. I don't often hear above said, but aforementioned I do hear quite often. So information about an air defense alert exercise. Yeah, it's articles again. But we can assume that the Russian military, it will always be the Russian military, the Russian fleet, the British elite. Yeah, when you're making it really specific, which military, which fleet, which elite, yeah, then we've got to use the. Russian military definitely performs. Now, this was a question of subject-verb agreement, and we discussed this in class. The student and I discussed this in class. There's only one Russian military, so we want singular. But I do understand what he means, that very often, in speech, in fact, I think we more often say the Russian army are than the Russian army is. The Russian military are. But I want to make it really clear that in academic English, they tell us to lean towards using singular for collective nouns like military, fleet, army, government. They tell us to say the government is, my family is, the management is. But I must admit, in speech, we very often use plural. Now, it's not that you can't use plural, you can. But if you do use plural, you've got to be really consistent and keep using plural the whole way through the essay. Okay? But generally speaking, use singular for collective nouns in academic essays. That's my advice. So that's why I've put the Russian military definitely performs map exercises. I suggested operational environment just because I thought it was closer to the original. The Seabury exercise. Yeah, Seabury's exercise. So again, we've got some articles, a training operation on defeating the Russian fleet, then the Russian command, yeah, and the enemy's fleet. You see how you need these articles each time that you're being really specific. Then is almost identical to that of the Cold War period. Now, I'm really pleased he's put the that in there. He didn't need another pronoun, one. He didn't need that. And this is actually connected to parallel structure. Yeah, we're trying to make sure the comparison is correct. So we're saying the structure of the current environment is almost identical to the structure of the environment of the Cold War period. And instead of saying the structure twice, we use the pronoun that to stand in for the structure. Yeah. So that's why we need the word that here, but we don't use another pronoun. We don't use two pronouns. We don't throw in the word one there as well. So it's almost identical to that, the structure. Yeah. Here it's a pronoun. It's not a relative pronoun. It's just an ordinary pronoun. It's not a relative clause. It's an ordinary pronoun. So identical to that, the structure. Okay. The difference is only in the scale of the forces involved. The scale of forces involved. You don't actually need that, though. I think I've been a little bit over the top there. You could drop it. Okay. Now we've got a significant number of submarines. And again, I made the same correction further down. A significant number of submarines. A significant number of submarines. A number of, guys. Yeah. A number of means a lot of. The number of means the precise exact number, if you know it. Yeah. So you say something like the number of students coming to class late is 3 on average per week. Yeah, something like that when you're saying about the precise number. But you can also say there are a number of students who turn up late, which just means there are a number of students, a lot of students who turn up late. So do remember a number of, and this is one time when you get a noun of noun, okay? It's a quantifier. So I preferred and its regional allies to in the region and its allies. Yeah, it's, then you've got a nice, what have you got it? A large number of, hold on. There were significant forces, which included several aircraft carriers, at least 2 American ones just in the Mediterranean Sea, a large number of strategic and tactical aircraft. Sorry, missed that one. Tactical aircraft and its regional allies. It just sounded better to me. Okay, let's keep going. So today, the composition of both parties' forces is smaller, I preferred, but this doesn't change. I didn't like the core of the subject. I prefer the essence of the matter. Yeah, this doesn't change the essence of the matter. We are going back to a situation which those who destroyed the USSR and the socialist system, seen as the source of ideological confrontation with the West, allegedly wanted to avoid. Now, I had to change quite a bit here. This was a really long sentence in the original essay, and it was really hard to translate it into English simply because it had a lot of modifying interrupting phrases. And it was particularly hard to get the seen as the source of ideological confrontation with the West in there. But I did it like this. I mean, in this way, you know, those who destroyed the USSR and the socialist system, comma, and then I described the socialist system as seen as the source of ideological confrontation with the West, and then those who destroyed the USSR allegedly wanted to avoid. Okay, so then we go, despite large cuts in NATO's armed forces. Yeah, when you say it like that, same with in Russia's armed forces, no article here. And it's because you've just got armed forces, and you're just talking about all of Russia's armed forces or all of NATO's armed forces. So no article here. And it would be the same whether it were Russia, NATO, Greece, doesn't matter what country it is. If it's got the determiner there, in other words, possessive form, then it's going to have no article. Yeah, Russia's armed forces, if you're talking about all of them. Okay. So also by having forfeited, not having been forfeited, having forfeited, we need the active form. Okay, in the Soviet era, yes, we would definitely need an article here. In the Middle Ages, in the early Roman period, in the Soviet era, yeah, in the 40s, in the 50s, in the 1960s, all of these ones have an article. And now the next correction, in case, no, in the event of. This is the случае. Yeah, I found it in the original, and I can see that the student keeps translating случае as in case. And I want to make it clear to all the Russian students out there that it's not in case, okay? In case is not the correct translation here. In case is used to show that you are taking precautions, okay? It's something like this: take an umbrella in case it rains. And that does not mean if it rains, take an umbrella. No, it means take the umbrella anyway, and then if it rains, you'll be okay. Okay, so in case is for precautions. It's actually got nothing to do with случае. It's not similar at all. So if you're translating it like that, please stop and change to in the event of. In the event of is just like случай. Yeah, so here we want, in the Soviet era, in the event of a full-scale war, the Black Sea Fleet, for due to a lack of serious threats. So a lack of, and not the lack of, because it's a quantifying expression. A lack of, a number of, a lot of, a few of, yeah. Okay, I preferred gain superiority to gain domination. I just thought that that's more that's the collocation, gain superiority. And then the capability to influence warfare in the South. Now here we need an article because this noun is being described by a 2+ infinitive phrase. Now I'm actually going to do a lesson on 2+ infinitive, or on noun plus 2+ infinitive after this class. So if you're interested in what that's all about, please hang around for another class after this class. So I would like to look at noun plus 2+ infinitive. It's something I've never done before, but I find really quite interesting. Okay, and yet to influence warfare, warfare is uncountable, and it's not a specific type of warfare here. It's just to influence warfare or to influence geopolitics in the Southeast continental European theatre. Okay, the present Russian Black Sea Fleet, yeah, the Russian fleet, the Turkish Navy. Yeah, we need an article with all of these ones. Then I've changed in case to in the event of, again, because it sounds much better. It really is in the event of that the student means. Then we got the Russian fleet, yeah. NATO forces will preserve their, not its, because we got forces. So we need the pronoun to be plural. An ability, okay, here we've got a noun plus 2+ infinitive. We've got capability to do, ability to do. So we'll look at these in a second, another lesson. But ability to continue the military struggle. Okay, I didn't like to keep on because you don't normally keep on and then noun. You can keep on and then gerund, keep on doing, keep on having, keep on playing, but not keep on the lesson or keep on, not keep on plus noun, guys, but continue. Can have continue plus noun. So, but a situation such as the Russian Black Sea Fleet being left alone face to face with the NATO joint naval forces is only possible in the event of, not in case, in the event of a large-scale war. Okay, and then due to this reason, the chance, a noun of noun, the chance of this scenario is extremely slim. Maybe the chances are extremely slim. The chances of this scenario, or the chance of this scenario happening, is extremely thin, or playing out, or taking place. Yeah, there are a few you could have there, but that might be a little bit better. So again, in the event of, not in case, in the event of a local conflict. So we want in the event of, trust me guys, this really is what you want instead of in case. In case is different. Now I changed the punctuation down here with a lot of semicolons. It was a very long, tricky sentence to translate again, but he did a very good job of it. So we put modern after, adjectives after determiners, guys, the modern S300, the strategic jet bombers, and then we name them. So you definitely need a the. And this is interesting. In the list, he's got augmentation of blah, 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 redeployment of blah, blah, blah. There was another one somewhere. Where is it? Okay, no, it starts here. Additional deployment, blah, 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 augmentation, blah, 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 redeployment, blah, 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 and then relocation. I changed this from relocating. And I explained that if you've got deploying, augmenting, redeploying, then relocating sounds great. Why? Parallel structure. Yeah, I talk about it every single lesson. Parallel structure, a fantastic thing to learn about if you know nothing about it. As I knew nothing about it a few years back. It really paid when I started to do some, when I started studying parallel structure. It really pays off, guys. Please study parallel structure. So have all four things in the list either as verbal nouns or as gerunds. And that's the difference here. Augmentation is a verbal noun. Augmenting is a gerund. So keep them all in the same form and it does sound better. Okay, and then I changed level it off to equalize it. Level it off is close, but we're trying to say that this will equalize the combat potential with that of NATO's joint forces. Yeah, it will equalize the combat potential of the Russian forces. It will equalize them so that they're the same as NATO's joint forces. Okay, and then we've got, moreover, if the enemy recognizes that its initial operations to crush Russian forces in the region don't, because its operations don't guarantee success. Of course, we've got have already been and not have been already deployed. Have already been deployed. Yeah, have already been deployed. And the last sentence, the situation is the subject. No, this situation will be a subject for our upcoming articles. And we don't say given to. We say given the accumulated military tension in the region. But I did think that was a wonderful translation. So well done, Zhenya. Nice one. Some excellent work in that piece of writing. But what I want you guys to take away is the noun of noun. You see how important that is? If we bear that in mind, we make far fewer article mistakes. That's one thing I want you to remember. Certainly think about parallel structure that I've just been speaking about, because that's always very, very useful indeed. And certainly remember in the event of, not in case, yeah, in the event of, because if you keep these things in mind, then you won't make the same mistakes over and over again. Okay, so we'll stop there for translation. I'm going to put up another lesson in a second on noun plus to plus infinitive, and I might even try and do it on the whiteboard for a change. We'll see. If it looks easier, then I will. If it looks harder, then I won't. It's actually just quite easy for me to work from my computer, and I can just put up things. Everybody moans about not being able to read the writing on the board and stuff like that. And so after so many years, and believe me, about a decade of people moaning about my board, my writing, my lighting, I've decided to just say, okay, forget the board. We'll just use the computer then. Okay, so thanks guys for watching. Do appreciate it. Hope to see you all soon. Hope to see you all in about 20 minutes for the next class, or maybe 10 minutes.